She arrived in a strange town with no home, no money, and one letter that revealed the man she trusted had married someone else. But a lonely rancher offered her a room, unaware that her past was about to bring danger straight to his doorstep. Then, after a mysterious attack and a hidden clue marked with one letter, Mara discovered that the betrayal was far bigger than she imagined, and that someone wanted the truth destroyed at any cost. But what happened when the ranch went up in flames and Mara discovered who was truly behind it all? Watch the full video and subscribe to our page to find out what happened next. Before we start the story, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is right now? Rain hammered the windows of Red Lantern Ranch as Caleb Rusk stepped into the kitchen. Water ran from the brim of his hat, and his coat smelled of wet leather and cold wind. He was tired from repairing a fence all afternoon. Without thinking, he picked up a spoon and tasted the stew simmering on the stove. Then he froze. Beef, potatoes, onion, thyme. It was nothing special, yet one bite carried him back to childhood. He was 12 again, sitting beside his mother, Ruth, while snow covered the Colorado hills. She had made the same stew during a hard winter. Caleb slowly lowered the spoon. Across the stove stood a woman he had never seen before. She wore a faded brown traveling coat over a simple dark dress. A blue scarf covered her dark hair. Her face was tired, but her eyes were calm. "Who made this?" Caleb asked. "I did," she answered quietly. Before Caleb could say more, a bedroom door opened down the hall. His father, Silas Rusk, had not left that room properly in months. Caleb stared. The woman looked toward the door. Silas said nothing. He only watched them before slowly closing it again. Caleb turned back to the stranger. "Who are you?" "Maribel Bell. Most people call me Mara." But Mara's story had begun far from Red Lantern Ranch. 2 days earlier, she had arrived in Willow Bend after traveling hundreds of miles. For 7 months, a man named Walter Pike had written to her, promising marriage, a respectable home, and a fresh beginning. But when Mara stepped from the stagecoach, Walter did not come to meet her. A clerk handed her a letter. Walter had married another woman, Lillian Pike, the week before. Inside the letter was a little money for her return trip. The next stage would not leave for 8 days. Mara had no home, little money, and nowhere to go. People watched her standing alone beneath the cold evening sky, but no one helped. Then Caleb Rusk crossed the muddy street. "Ma'am," he said, "can you cook?" Mara looked at him carefully. "Yes." "Mend clothes?" "Yes." "Keep household accounts?" "I can." Caleb nodded. "I have work at my ranch. You'll have your own room, regular wages, and a key to your door. If you decide to leave, I'll take you back to Willow Bend myself." Mara studied him. "What is the hidden price?" Caleb looked confused. "There isn't one." That answer changed everything. Mara accepted. When they reached Red Lantern Ranch, she found a house filled with silence. Caleb's mother, Ruth, had died years earlier, and the family had never truly recovered. Her apron still hung in the pantry. The kitchen clock had stopped at the exact time Ruth died. Silas stayed alone in his room. Caleb worked hard, but he had forgotten how to live inside his own home. Mara did not try to fix them with speeches. She simply began working. She cleaned the kitchen. She opened curtains. She organized the food. She hung thyme and sage near the stove. She made coffee in the mornings. Most importantly, she placed a warm plate outside Silas's door without forcing him to speak. One morning, the plate disappeared. A few days later, Silas finally came into the kitchen. Mara poured in coffee. "Thank you," he muttered. Then he tasted her biscuit. Too soft. Caleb almost smiled. It was the first complaint his father had made in months. Little by little, the old ranch began to breathe again. One morning, Mara helped Caleb with a cow giving birth in the south pasture. She held the lantern while he worked in the mud. When the calf finally stood, Mara smiled with relief. "You've done this before," she said. "My father taught me," Caleb answered. "I still hear his voice every spring." Later, Caleb noticed Mara had cut her arm on a rough fence. He gave her his clean handkerchief. The next morning, she returned it washed and folded with a tiny sprig of thyme tucked inside. Caleb slipped it into his pocket. Neither spoke about it. Then Silas gave Mara something far more important. He placed an old brass button from Ruth's winter coat in her hand. "My wife believed a lantern should stay lit for anyone trying to find their way home," he said. Caleb stared at the button. "My mother gave those only to family." Silas looked toward Mara. "No, I have not mistaken her." Mara's eyes filled with quiet emotion. For the first time, she felt that perhaps this place could become more than a job. But then Walter Pike returned. In Willow Bend, he tried to shame Mara in front of the townspeople. He suggested she had simply found another man willing to support her. Mara stepped forward. "You wrote to me for 7 months, she said. "Why?" Walter avoided her eyes. Circumstances changed. But Mara soon discovered that Walter's betrayal was much worse. Her brother Daniel had written the letter warning her that another brother, Edwin Bell, had taken money from Walter. They had used Mara's name in a financial deal she had never agreed to. Walter had expected to control her through a false debt. Mara refused to remain silent. A missing part of Daniel's letter appeared at the ranch with a threatening message. Fresh horse tracks led away from the house. One shoe print matched Walter's horse. Caleb wanted to confront him. Mara stopped him. "This time, I speak for myself." They went looking for the truth. On the mountain road, a masked rider attacked them and tried to steal Mara's satchel. A gunshot struck stone. Caleb pulled Mara behind cover and was grazed in the arm. The rider escaped. But Mara found a silver cufflink in the snow. It carried the letter E. Edwin. A snowstorm forced them into an abandoned cabin. Mara cleaned Caleb's wound. "When he aimed at you," Caleb admitted, "I wanted to kill him." Mara looked directly into his eyes. "Protecting me is not the same as owning my fight." Caleb was silent. "Then tell me where to stand." "Beside me." Those words stayed between them. When they reached the ranch, they found Daniel wounded outside the barn. He had brought bank statements and letters proving Mara had been cheated. But before they could study them, Walter arrived with Edwin, Deputy Hollis, and several men. Edwin accused Mara of stealing family documents. Caleb stood between them. Silas appeared on the porch holding an old shotgun. "First man who crosses this porch answers to me." The men finally backed away, but the evidence disappeared. Then, before dawn, fire erupted through the ranch house. Mara woke Silas and helped him escape while Caleb and Daniel fought the flames. Silas refused to leave without Ruth's old box. Mara went back for him. A burning beam crashed down between her and Caleb. Caleb crawled through smoke and grabbed her wrist. Her dress caught on a nail. She pulled free just before the ceiling collapsed. They escaped as the kitchen burned behind them. By morning, half the ranch was blackened. Caleb poured water over Mara's burned hands. His voice shook. "I can rebuild every board on this place." Mara touched his soot-covered face. Their kiss was brief, gentle, and filled with everything neither had been brave enough to say. But the truth still had to be faced.
Sheriff Nolan found a trail of coal oil near the fire and a burned piece of Edwin's coat. Daniel later revealed that he had hidden the missing bank statement because he feared Walter would destroy it. Mara was angry. "Truth kept from me has cost enough." Then came the hearing in Willow Bend. Walter claimed Mara had agreed to the debt. Edwin supported him. For a moment the whole room seemed to turn against her. Then the doors opened. Lillian Pike walked in, carrying a locked box. Inside were Walter's letters, receipts, freight records, and instructions proving he had planned everything. Walter had not married Lillian for love. He wanted her freight business. And there was more. Walter had investigated Caleb before Mara even arrived in Willow Bend. He knew Caleb was unmarried, owned a ranch, and would never leave a stranded woman outside during winter. Mara finally understood. Even her path to Red Lantern Ranch had been part of someone else's plan. Her life had been treated like a number in a ledger. Daniel placed the final bank records before Sheriff Nolan. The evidence showed Edwin had forged Mara's signature. Edwin finally confessed. He had taken Walter's money, lied about Mara's inheritance, and arranged for her to be sent west. Then he admitted something even worse. He had started the ranch fire to destroy the evidence. Walter and Edwin were arrested. Deputy Hollis was exposed for helping Walter. Sheriff Nolan announced that Mara owed Walter Pike nothing. Morton tore the false debt record from his book and handed it to Mara. She placed it into the stove. The paper curled into black ash. The lie that had controlled her life was finally gone. But Mara still had one choice left. She had money now. Her name was hers again. She could leave. And she did. For a while, Mara lived in Willow Bend. She helped Lillian rebuild her freight business and began selling stew seasoning and fresh bread.
Caleb never pressured her to return. Then, one morning, Mara packed her carpet bag. She told Caleb she needed to know whether she loved Red Lantern Ranch or simply loved the safety she had found there. Caleb did not stop her. He counted every dollar she had earned and placed it in her hand. Then he gave her the bedroom key. "A key should work both ways," he said. "Lock the door behind you or open it again." Mara left. Winter passed. Caleb rebuilt the ranch. He even refused an offer to sell it. "I am not keeping this place because I expect her back," he told Silas. "I am keeping the light on because this is where I told her she could return." Then spring came. One evening, Caleb rode home and smelled thyme before he reached the porch. The kitchen window was glowing. He stepped inside. Mara stood beside the stove. Her carpet bag was gone. Her dresses were upstairs. Ruth's brass button was fastened to her collar. She held out a spoon. "Planning to ask who made it?" Caleb tasted the stew. "I know who made it." Mara smiled. "That was never the question." Caleb placed a small carved red lantern on the table. Inside was a simple gold ring. Beside it lay a new deed. Caleb had left the second line blank. "I am not asking you to stay because you need a room," he said. "I am asking you to build this place with me. Equal in the house, equal in the land." Mara read every word. Then she picked up the pen. "Maribel Bell Rusk." Caleb held her hand. "You came here because you had nowhere to sleep. Why did you come back?" Mara looked toward Silas sleeping beside the fire. Then she looked at the lantern glowing in the window. "Because now I know the difference between being given a room and choosing a home." From that day forward, the lantern at Red Lantern Ranch stayed lit whenever snow covered the mountain road. Mara kept stew warm for travelers. Caleb cared for the cattle. Silas finally laughed again. And beside the stove rested two small things: Ruth's brass lantern button, and the bedroom key Caleb had once given Mara. One belonged to the family that opened the door. The other belonged to the woman who became free enough to choose whether she would walk through it. And Mara chose to come home. Thank you so much for watching this story all the way till the end. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. It really helps us a lot. If you want to watch more exciting stories like this, don't forget to subscribe our page right now. Tell me in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is right now? And if this story touched your heart, please send some stars. Every single star gives us huge motivation to keep creating more amazing videos for you. See you in the next story. Take care of you, friends.